NSFW people who worked in bachelor/bachelorette parties, what is the worst thing you saw? Guy ran a military obstacle course as the first stop on the bachelor party. Did the net climbing obstacle. When he dropped down on the other side, his ring had got caught in the net. He severed his finger. Not a bad thing necessarily. A friend of mine is a male stripper and legal to officiate weddings. More than once he's been called on to officiate a wedding where he met the bride the night before. As he tells it, the most awkward was when the officiate cancelled the night before. So the bride is at the bachelorette party stressed about getting a new officiate. He apparently negotiated the deal for that while naked. And they had an agreement that no one would ever tell the groom where she found him. Again, not a worker. But the bride-to-be, husband-to-be went out on his bachelor party with a small group, mostly to get drinks, play poker and get him a lap dance at the local strip joint. About an hour in, he calls me. You will not believe this. On stage, flicking her clit ring, is his last ex. She calls him out by name and says hi. Mind you, the party consisted of my dad, my younger brother, his dad, and a couple guy friends. They very quickly went to the upstairs room for poker and drinks with no more talk of lap dances. That town was too ducking small. A top client of mine got blasted and gave me a rundown of his bachelor party. It started by drinking at a Vegas day club, where he met a few girls and hooked up with one of them. After that, and dinner with more drinks. His friends and him went to a strip club where they in total spent over $10,000. This allowed them access to money, guns and bricks of fake money. Towards the end, they just started throwing bricks at girls, which alarmed security. Also, when he paid, they forced him to sign the receipt the same was as his ID. Shockingly, according to this guy, nothing happened at the strip club but lap dances. Feeling let down, they drove to a brothel over an hour away and banged a few prostitutes there. It's now 3 a.m. so they drove back to Vegas. Found a 24-hour massage parlor where he attempted to get a happy ending before they kicked him out. Apparently by then his junk was defunct. A few hours later he was at his wedding. They lasted a little over a year and split. I was doing security at a club and a bachelorette party showed up, all wearing t-shirts that said tribe or something on them. They looked like they hadn't been out in a long time to the club, if ever. And quickly all got plastered. One of them stumbled into me, trying to make it to the bathroom, and I offered to help her get there, since she could barely walk. She proceeded to let out an exuberant scream and flash her boobs, before promptly puking all over me and passing out. She fell backwards, breaking the first bathroom stall door in, and swinging it wide open, exposing a screaming girl pooping. It was like 11 p.m. The night had just started. Obligatory not a party worker. My friend held her bachelorette party the night before her wedding. And while at the club they met up with a local minor league hockey team. The bride-to-be tried to get the whole bridal party to go back to the hotel with them. But only the bride went. She ended up sleeping with at least one of them and got married to her fiancé the next day. The kicker? She eventually told her now husband about it and now they're in an open relationship. She still hooks up with a hockey player from time to time. Was working as a bartender at a bachelorette party. The bride and one of the bridesmaids were dancing on top of the bar. Both slipped and I caught the bridesmaid before hitting the ground, but the bride hit her head and had a bad gash on her forehead and was bleeding pretty bad. Wrapped her head in a towel and rushed her to the hospital. The bride was fine, however had a bad scar on her head before the wedding. Drunken bridesmaid that I saved yelled at me that I should have saved her. Oddly enough, got an apology text a couple of days later though, as I gave them my number if I need to be contacted for anything. A guy I worked with decades ago made a legit ball and chain to lock onto the groom's ankle. This was back when the bachelor party was the right before the wedding. They all got blotto drunk and lost the key. The groom walked down the aisle with that ball and chain on his ankle because they couldn't find a solution in time. At a bachelor party, and the stripper, while giving a lap dance to the groom, leaned over and bit my friend, who wasn't even paying attention. Now we say he's a were stripper. And every full moon he loses control and hits the red light district. Looking for ones. Is having sex with someone who isn't your partner on your bachelor/bachelorette party normal? What the duck? I organized the BP for my buddy. He is a cop, so there were lots of cops that got invited. His dad and my dad came for the first half of the night, which was a poker tournament in a large hotel suite. The dads leave when the poker is done and the girls arrive about an hour later. They tell us that there were 2 really drunk guys getting arrested in the lobby and 2 women with them that looked to be in trouble. Me, lawyer, and a few of the cops run down to see what is happening. Yep, the dads met some women in the elevator. Picked them up. We're trying to book another room and the manager wouldn't rent to them because they were all loaded. They started causing a fuss and the manager called the police. Nobody was arrested. Dads were loaded into a cab and sent home. TLDR/father of the groom and my dad tried to pick up randoms in the hotel lobby and got kicked out of the hotel. Bride passing out at dinner face first into a pizza with white sauce and mushrooms. Bridesmaid woke her up and she lifts her face half covered in cream sauce with a couple mushrooms. She's cleaned up by her friends and I send a bus boy to the table because it looks like they spilled water and it's on the floor. Seems the bride relieved herself in her chair, but she finished the rest of her pizza. Was a guest. Not a worker yet. I've been to 2 bachelor parties. And 1 bachelorette party, because I have a friend who is female. And she doesn't have a lot of friends. And has contact with only her sister in terms of family. Turns out an Asian girl having the gal to marry a black man is not well liked by her family. The bachelor parties were almost boring. Some drinks. A stripper who wasn't really that into the whole thing. She looked so ducking bored I felt bad for her. And this was the only bachelor party that had a stripper. The second party consisted of 7 guys drinking beer/soda and taking bets on how long the bride and groom last on their wedding night. Bachelorette party ended in bloodshed when the bride-to-be's sister got into a fight with an uninvited guest. And decided it was a good idea to use the glass pitcher full of alcoholic punch as a makeshift battering ram. I will never underestimate Asian women under 5 feet tall again. I know you mean one specific thing. But the constant cheating is what upsets me the most. Same hit. Different people. Was a guest/groomsman. We went to a lodge that was owned by a friend and proceeded to drink. The groom has the idea to take the 6-seater ATV for a spin around the property. So a couple of us go along because he knows the property well. The first lap goes well. So we go for another with 5 people total. A corner gets taken a bit too fast and a bit too sharp and tips over, breaking the best man's ankle. The groom got arrested and an OWI and the best man had to have surgery and rode a scooter for the wedding. Found out later the place where the ATV landed was about a foot or so away from a 15-foot drop. I ran a security business and I can tell you that everything happened except murder. Notice I didn't say death. Rape. Didn't find out until 3 weeks later when the porn star/stripper claimed she was gangbanged by 4 dudes. Keep in mind, she still performed for the 3 hours without so much of a tear on her face. Infidelity. So many times. Worst thing? Guy who had a stripper dance on him and you could tell something was up, he wasn't happy. The stripper picked up on it and she brought him aside and later she came out and left. She had a huge smile on her face and of course guys were all bragging. Nope. Dude came out to the stripper. He was gay and he was going through the motions to appease his dad. The worst part? Most of his friends called him the names and left. He had no one left except me and the stripper. She took him home. We both refunded the money we were paid. I'm going to steal my friend's story. His group of hometown friends are sci-fi nerds. And the groom was an STTNG fan. So his buddies dressed up like Klingons and kidnapped him. They took him to a warehouse and had him do some feats of bravery with those Klingon bow swords. Anyhow, my buddy wound up getting stabbed through the hand with a steak knife and had to go to the ER in full Klingon garb.